I don't have a desk, which is like a real bummer. Like I want to sit at a desk.
Are you on your bed or something?
Yes. I'll make it look like I'm sitting at a desk.
So how do you think the media we watch shapes our perspectives or our perspectives of self?
So that's interesting that you brought that up because I was looking into statistics on like um, the percentage of Americans who like trust media nowadays. I thought that would be interesting to bring up too. But I don't know. I guess on like a personal level, it depends on the person. I don't feel like the media affects me as a person or the way that I think. I use it as a source to build like my knowledge subset, but it doesn't necessarily like influence what I believe on a certain topic.
So you're talking about like news and magazines and stuff like that, or like
Yeah.
articles. Yeah, I feel the same way. For me, at least for the most part, I take media with a grain of salt. You can't rely on one thing. If it shows up continuously, then maybe, but you kind of have to think for yourself and use it as a resource. So I agree with you there. But with like movies and TV shows, like how do you think that affects how we view ourselves? Like, the tropes that play out all the time, or like the romantic comedies or whatever, gives us like unrealistic expectations for life. Do you think that shapes our perspectives at all?
Oh, I most definitely do. I think like the film industry does a really good job of doing that and evoking emotions from people like exactly how they want to because I'm sure you've experienced it. I know like pretty much everyone has experienced that feeling after watching like a certain film of like a longing that it shouldn't have ended or just like this emotion that was evoked that you like wouldn't necessarily expect just from watching something. I think it most definitely does. And also, I think film sets a lot of standards for our life that necessarily isn't true. For example, just like a simple thing like smoking, because a lot of teenagers in film are really like smoke a lot, and I think that's really funny because I don't know a single person um,
Smokes
that
in real life.
yeah, like our age or a little younger.
I mean, Jewel, but that's different.
Yeah, yeah, right. Smoking's a little more
I
harsh.
know, I know. It's funny you say that because I noticed that, like, how sometimes on Instagram there's like edits of certain things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw someone post smoking in film, and they had a collage of like all these people that were smoking, and I was like, I don't know, it gets romanticized so much, and I feel like
Yeah.
every character that's like troubled and like going through fear like smokes, and that's another thing. Like mental health, I feel like is romanticized in movies,
Hmm.
and like being depressed, being sad, having anxiety. Like sure, they show the downs of it, but they kind of show this person that is like kind of larger than life, smokes, like they make it this romantic thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I 100% agree on that.
What you were saying about like how it's unrealistic, I think like movies and films are supposed to reflect reality, which doesn't always happen all the time, but I think they take reality and heighten it. So there's a lot, like if you're watching a romantic comedy, like the reason you're able to relate to it is it shows basic human emotions and things that we all go through, but they add on like unrealistic expectations, or it's kind of like social media, it's showing the best of those relationships or the best of those situations. Like they always end in happily ever after, but they never show like the relationship continuing, or like I feel like they don't show the hard stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that too. Especially a lot of the goals of the films are like the way I see it is some people like with boring drab lives, that's what gets them more involved in it or
Yeah.
it increases the like the desire to watch more because you get to experience things that you don't necessarily feel in your own life, which I feel it's like a temporary fix to like the void in yourself, which you should be like actively pursuing to fix in other ways than by this made up reality. But yeah, I see that.
I think it's like comfort food. I was watching something last night that was like before we decided to do this podcast. That's why I was like interested in the subject. I was watching this thing that like broke down romantic comedies and how they're formed. And it was basically saying they're like comfort food, which I think they are because I'll watch them and it makes me feel good, but it's not real. And they said that they would almost categorize them as sci-fi because it creates a world that's not real. And if you think about all the characters in romantic comedies, they're psychopaths. Like the things they do, like move across the country for a guy or like stalk someone they've never met. Like they make it seem romanticized, but it's like there's some pretty crazy people in rom-coms.
Yeah, that's so funny that you point that out.
I feel like a real rom-com, like it would be boring to watch because a lot of relationships just happen over time and they're slow and they don't necessarily have too many dramatic moments. So, I mean, they do, but they're just not as big as you see in the movies.
Yeah, and people are a little less daring in real life.
I think like when you're the person experiencing a relationship, it's heightened for you, and so it might be dramatic for you, but like other people watching it, it's like no, that's really boring.
That's so funny. Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so what do you think about violence in films, kind of with the romanticizing, like with guns and everything like that?
That's an interesting
Like
question.
spy movies and superhero movies and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I think there's a double way to see it. I think there's definitely in a lot of films like that. There's like a lot of like weapons used and like violence shown. I don't know, like there's different avenues to take, like whether they were trying to portray it as, but I think that it's more acceptable in a film to show violence or the use of weapons or more force than it is in real life. Um, and I think like filmmakers are um, less hesitant to put it in nowadays because it makes the film either like more intriguing um, or more perilous, I guess you could say, um, compared to like real life. Because there's a lot of instances in movies like that where you see them use like force in certain situations or show like a weapon in certain situations that like it wouldn't like be there in real life, and you just like wonder. But it makes the whole situation like more weighted.
Yeah. And I think it creates like if you're watching like some spy movie like James Bond or something, you feel like, okay, after watching a movie, I always feel like I'm in that world. And so after watching like a spy movie, I'm like, and
Yeah,
so like I feel like it creates this like I want to be James Bond. I want to have like a gun. I want to be like running around. But then like in real life, if I were to be presented with a situation like a terrorist is trying to attack our city, I would be like, like no, I'm not doing that. Like how many people would actually want to be James Bond in that situation? Because I know.
yeah, yeah. You're right about that. That's funny because I think, but going back to what you said earlier, they're just like creating this just this like alternate reality, but that you wish that you could like see in yourself, but
Yeah.
like overall, you couldn't, and it's not like tangible for your life.
And then let's see. I have some other bullet points, but do you have anything that intrigues you that you want to talk about in terms of media?
um, I don't know.
What about, okay, so I know there's a lot of people show materialistic, like being materialistic in films, or like creating an aesthetic of, I don't know, if you watch a lot of movies, like especially rom-coms, there's like a lot of materialistic things that come into play. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and it makes the viewer be more envious of the life of the characters, I think. And I think it like even though at the time like they might be like indulging in the film to make them feel good, or they're just looking for an escape, but at the same time it's hurting them more because I feel like with a lot of people with like weaker internal fortitude, they just feel like their life is like so unfair or not up to par, like to where it should be. I think, this is a funny point, but I was thinking When you watch a lot of movies and stuff, there are simple things that are like almost necessary to daily life that they don't include. Um,
Like what?
and and sometimes you might like overlook them and think, but like when like washing your face in the morning, that's such a
Oh
simple thing.
yeah.
But people in movies, they get up and put their clothes on and leave. Like
Yeah.
they don't they
Yes.
don't include those like simple things.
And also we never see them eating. Like I know there's that funny thing people talk about how like movies have this, the parents or the boyfriend or whatever will have this huge like buffet of a breakfast and they have like one bite and they're like, gotta go to school.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody made me that. I would sit down and I would eat it. I would be late to school. Like school's
I
not
know,
that.
right?
I also would love to see like high school characters actually being displayed as high school characters. Like I don't know who these women think like they are when they're playing high school characters. They're wearing heels. Like who wears heels to school? Or like they're like 25 years old. I want to see someone with their hair in a bun and like t-shirts. I know that's not like cinematic, but it's the reality.
I know. I want to know more behind that because after I watch movies like that and I like look up actors and stuff, I realize that this person was portrayed in this movie as a 15-year-old, and but yet in real life they legit might be like 27 years old,
It's
and it's like
crazy.
it's crazy to think, um, and you have to like wonder why. And I think that also plays into like the unrealistic expectations for you because you see this 15-year-old who like already smokes or already has a complicated love life, um, but yet has all this like knowledge that you yourself might have been like at 15, like
I didn't have that.
did
Yeah.
I have all that? um
I honestly think it's like a complex. Like, I feel like a lot of people go back to their high school years to define them, even when they're older in life. Like, because that's just a time when like you're forced into a situation, and it's such a big part of your life, and you grow. You're like in puberty or whatever, and so I feel like a lot of people who are writers and stuff like put themselves back into the high school situation, giving themselves stuff that they didn't have. You know, to
yeah,
like I didn't look this good in high school. I wasn't this knowledgeable, so I'm going to make this character. It's like they're trying to live out the high school fantasy. I really think it's like complex.
yeah, I understand that.
But yeah, I guess I was going to I like one of my last bullet points was back to like news and media. I know you were saying that you don't easily or at least we don't easily aren't fooled easily by media, but a lot of people are. Like how easy do you think it is to get in the rabbit hole of like social media and stuff like that?
I I think it's almost too easy. Like and we have a culture that's so like intact and connected with their emotions that I feel like it doesn't take much to get them to feel a certain way. And like you look at all these headlines and stuff, and headlines are like made to grab the reader's attention and to like evoke certain emotions to get you to want to like explore the topic more or like want to know about it, but not necessarily the real like truth behind it, because a lot could be misleading, and I think it's really easy to fall down that rabbit hole, especially with people who don't know how to like do research for themselves or or look at something in more of a like non-biased point of view and develop their opinion after they know the facts of a situation instead of just taking
An emotional.
because like it's no lie that the media outlets are biased, and Instagram is like Instagram's free range, like social media and stuff, it's free range, so there's so many opinions going on. But on the media side, like actual media and news, there is bias too, whether it might not be perceived, and it's not in like every situation, but it's something important to note.
Yeah, I think I mean at least for me sometimes I'm an emotional person and I usually don't because I'm an emotional person, I usually don't take things at face value like that.
Mhm.
But I've said this to you before, but in the last couple weeks, like I don't know, it's just gotten the better of me a couple times and I've had to catch myself because it is so easy when you see something and I feel like if you see something a lot, that sometimes means that it's true, but not always. Because I feel like someone will share information and then you'll see like a lot of other people have shared it. And so a lot of people, myself included, sometimes think like, wow, that must be valid. But like you're not doing your own research. You have to look into it. And I feel like there's been a lot of stuff online where I've gone to look it up online and I found nothing for it, and it had no logic, but it's like being shown all the time on social media, so I can so see how people would think that it's accurate, you know?
Yeah, it's really dangerous. That's why I like to encourage people to do their own like fact checking and information seeking themselves, because there's been things that have circulated so much and people don't even hesitate to believe that, but a simple Google search through like a fact checking engine proves it like totally false.
Yeah.
Or an argument is twisted to be viewed a certain way, but you don't know the backstory, and if you inform yourself on the backstory and the actual like facts of it, then you're like, oh, okay, I see. But yeah, it's dangerous
A lot
because
of
it's not easy.
a lot of people believe celebrities so easily too, which I've never understood, because it's like, I mean, they made a really great TV show and I really love what they do, but a lot of them, so I don't want to like stereotype, a lot of them have gone to college and have a lot of knowledge, but even so, like, I don't know, like, why are you so easily believing them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially my big thing about that is we live totally different lives. The life of the average American is celebrity. A celebrity doesn't have to worry about half the things that an average American does. And
Yeah.
yet the average American doesn't have to worry about things a celebrity does, but that's in a different context. But yeah, I totally understand. That's why I feel like nowadays a lot of celebrities are like weaponized to push a certain narrative just because it's easy to believe them, because we feel like they've given us something in our life that we like couldn't live without.
Me and my family talk about this a lot. Like, we call it like the celebrity guilt. Like they are, because like what you said, they're living a lot. I mean, they're living a life that's so different, and they have all this, money and expendable income and nice house and all this stuff. And so they almost feel guilty, like they need to give back to their community, which is awesome. Like if you want to give back to your community, like go for it. But I feel like they get manipulated sometimes into believing that, like, I don't know, they bring their guilt out and they like put it on other people. And I feel like they're always asking the average American to do stuff like donate to this, like go to this cause. But it's kind of an unfair perspective because, like you said, they don't have to worry about certain things. So they have the freedom to be socially political and not fiscally political. And so they don't have to worry about some of the fiscal stuff. And so then they get mad at average Americans when they're worrying about the fiscal stuff. But it's like, you don't have to worry about that. Like, this bill you're trying to pass will mess up my life and it won't mess up yours. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I 100% agree. A really good example of that would be, say, with like climate change and the climate change initiative,
Yeah.
because there's so many celebrities who are pushing like, you need to act now, you need to do this, you need to do this. But if you want to like legit look at the facts of it, be like, okay, let's look at my carbon footprint compared to your carbon footprint, and then
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
like who needs to do something.
I forgot who it was, but it was like, I'll have to look it up, but there was a celebrity who was like pushing for climate change initiatives and like reducing your carbon foot, but like during a bad like thunderstorm or like a really long hurricane season or something, they were like watering their grass, which was like a lot of acres. So it's like there's just little things like that. A lot of people say like, let's reduce our carbon foot, let's live this way. It's like, okay, can you give up your 7.5 million mansion? Like,
Yeah, right.
I don't like, it's like they want average Americans to do the work for them, but they don't want to give anything up.
Yeah,
So
it's a concept.
it is a concept. But yeah, this is getting kind of long, so we should wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it though.
I am too. I could talk to you for hours, like I said.
I know.
Very interesting.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, so I guess this has been the first Everything Bagel podcast with Jonah and Allie.
Yes.